Okay, so I thought I'd make a short video here, kind of following up on a video that I just released doing a jam using these Roland AIRA Compact units. I originally bought the P-6 somewhere around November, December. Took me a while to get to it. It's a crazy unit. Anybody who's worked with it, you know that there's a lot of power in it, but there's a lot of like menu diving and things that you do with it. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. But I was impressed enough with this that I thought, well, why not get its three brothers? So I have them here, and I have them set up on my table. And I have, the T8 beat machine, I think is what they call it. It's basically like an 808, 909, 606 drum machines kind of mixed in here on these six channels or so. And then the TB303 right here. And I have the J6 chord sequencer or chord synthesizer. So it just basically plays back chords and uses kind of like a Juno 60 kind of synth as a basis for creating those chords. And then down here I have the E4 voice tweaker, and this takes in audio and allows you to pitch correct it, add harmony, vocode it, loop it, and then send it through a reverb while also affecting like formant and some other things. So you can make it a little bit like higher pitch kind of a formant, more maybe we could say feminine, and then lower pitch maybe deeper masculine, whatever. So that's what I have here. Now let's talk about, and of course the P6, sorry, the sampler with some samples loaded on it. And so what I did in terms of audio, well, I had originally kind of chained the devices through. You can daisy chain them, so you can go like, out one, mix in here, out the other, mix in, out the other, like that, or, whatever order you want to go in. But of course, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe that when you actually affect the volume on one of these instruments, it's the full volume from the unit coming out. So it's not just the signal change. So it doesn't just pass the in through. This affects the entire volume coming out of the whatever's in the unit and going through the unit too. So it'd be nice if this only controlled the internal. Now, it could be wrong. Maybe there's something there, but I haven't come across that. So that means you have to perfectly gain stage everything as you go along. And if you want to like fade things in or fade things out, there's not great ways to do it. For example, there's nothing I'm aware here that actually is a volume for the synth in this particular unit. You have filter and envelope, and then some effects here, and then this all deals with the chord sequencing. So you can't like fade it up or fade it down on the unit itself internally like this. You just do it from the master volume. These of course do have levels, so that's a little bit better. Same thing over here with the various pads of the P6 synthesizer. With this, again, there's really no volume other than the unit that comes out. So rather than daisy chaining the audio here, what I decided to do was use my Zoom LiveTrak 6. And then I have each of the four units going in stereo into these four stereo channels I have right here, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so that's how I brought the audio in. And the brilliant thing about that too is for the video I was able to record the audio, and it records into 4 separate stereo tracks. It gives me 4 separate stereo files plus a file from the master. So a little bit more about what I did. Oh yes, also there's how I control the timing. Originally I was using the sync cable, so I had like sync out going in, sync out going in. The problem was getting, it could find the beat, but it couldn't find the 1, if that makes sense. So, you just got this beat state coming like that, but it wouldn't find the 1. There's no connection between the sequencers, if that makes sense. It's just trying to time itself or align itself with a clock. However, once I got these Bose Boss. So this is the package that comes in. You can see one of these cables like right here and here. These are these little Boss TRS mini cables. I ordered them from Sweetwater. So I got those in, plugged them up, and once you hit play on one of the units, whoops, that's not play. There we go. Once you hit play on one of the units, then the other units that respond to play will do that. So the T8 and the J6 and the P6 all have sequencers, so they'll respond to a start and a stop message. But the E4, of course, isn't really kind of like that. It just has a looper, so that's independent. I think it might actually time align itself, so it will align itself to the beat. I think that's been my experience. Either I'm kind of new to looping, so sometimes I got the results I wanted, sometimes I didn't. But it seems like it was so good and went for so long and was still on, it didn't drift, that it must be timing itself to the other units. And you can see there's something going through here right now, but I don't have it hooked up to my phone camera. So I'll go ahead and stop that there. So that was the MIDI control going through here. And that's pretty much how I put it together. I think I ended up using a preset here. Now, one of the caveats here, of course, is that not only, so I'll go start this again, but if I go to, say, pattern here, I'll go to pattern here, there we go, pattern 1, 1, so we got 1, 1 there, and if I go to pattern here, 1, 1. So if you have a pattern here, and you're just using it out of the box without changing any of the parameters, if you select another pattern, they'll all change. Now that can be a bonus if you got everything lined up in terms of your patterns and you want just to have that ease of use and change all patterns at the same time. However, if you want to treat each one individually, say like a synth channel or track on the circuit tracks, right? And you want to go to a pattern here on this one, but not on this one, because each one of those tracks in the circuit tracks is basically a sequencer with a synthesizer attached to it, or a sequencer with a sampler attached to it. If you wanted to change the patterns, you just can go through, and you can do these with the mix, you can do this combination of patterns. You can't do that here. It's also something you do in live too when you make scenes. So you can't do that here. You can just call up everything that's pattern 2, like pattern 102, 103. And what makes it really interesting too, like if we go through this, like 1, 4, we're good. 1, 5, we'll go to 5, and let's go to 7. Yep, 7's good. And then we go to 8. Now, when we look here, we're at 8. This is where the chord sequences are. So then when I go to bank 1, pattern 9, I have bank 1, pattern 9 here, pattern 9 here. But now we jump to bank 2, 1. So I think we go all the way to 16, and that's going to be bank 2, 8. So this, I think, does, up to 4 patterns. So let's go to pattern 4, and let's see if we go to 4, 1. That takes us to 7, 1. Now if we go to 4, 16, okay, that takes us to 8, 8. This, like having worked with Roland for decades, this is something Roland does, like the D20 or something like that had 8 banks of 8 sounds, so 64, and you had to, when you're trying to go across, you had these charts that kind of help you map things across. So that makes it a little bit confusing. Another reason why you may not want to do that. But the other thing is you may want to have different sequences running. Well, keep the sequence consistent here while you change the sequence here or change the sequence there. So in the future, I know that there's a menu item in here where you can tell it whether to accept program change or send program change or not. And I'm probably going to tell it, just don't send program change. And just tell the units so they don't pass that on to the other units, and I can control them individually. So I've been creating some sequences and had done some tweaking with it, and then I hit one of these one of these pattern change buttons, and anyway, what had ended up happening is it jumped to a pattern, then I lost all the work that I had done on the previous pattern because I didn't write it to memory, that sort of thing. So what you're going to see in the video, I think, is probably mostly like the presets. Like there's a preset I was using here and a preset using here. I was using my own design over here on another bank. I was using, sorry, keep going for the wrong. So used to hitting shift. Again, fiddly, right? So I was using my own bank here with my own samples I loaded in from Splice. So this wasn't stock. And of course with this, I used my Shure SM58, just kind of put in here in this little XLR to 1/4-inch converter, and had recorded the words 1, 2, 3, 4 going through the auto pitch, dual octave harmonies, and the vocoder. Got the timing kind of satisfactory and right on it, and then I just just used that and started using the scatter to kind of affect it, and you'll see it in the video. Outside of that, the primary synth I was using here, there are a couple samples that were playing back, but when I was playing, I was using the Granular sampler, and I didn't write it, so it's not going to be here. A lot of it was just ephemeral. I just did it for the moment, then it's gone. So that particular jam will never come back, but that's why it's a jam. And anything else I should address here? Oh, then just kind of ancillary things here. So one of the benefits of going through the Zoom LiveTrak is I was going into this device underneath it, which maybe I can pull it up and show you. And that's the Maestro DMX. And so if you see all the lighting, you see it kind of going along with the if you see it going along with the music, kind of going along with the music, that's because it was. Because this device listens to the output coming out of an auxiliary channel on this L6 unit here, going into its RCA inputs, and it's building a light show based on the audio input. So it's controlling these lights here and some lights I have in the room that you'll see kind of like moving heads kind of sweep across, plus there's a light underneath. So that's responding in real time. So this is what made it possible. So this is how I could do a jam and then create a light show to what I was playing in the units at the same time. And then, of course, this little Anker speaker here, which is just super awesome. If you have any of these units, you can just plug them in straight into this and you have sound immediately. Or if you say you have like a, what is it, like an Ableton Move, whose speakers aren't particularly great, this is a great little unit to have, because it's got good bass, you know, reasonably for its size, and good projection, so much more present than the speakers that are on board. And certainly there's no speakers on these units, so definitely a bonus there. But the reason I had it plugged up to this is so my camera could pick up the audio, so later on when I'm working in Final Cut Pro, I could sync everything together and bring the whole performance together. And so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and show you the video again, and this time I'm going to put in like little annotations and commentary written all over the screen to show you what I was doing at that particular moment. And I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this, and enjoy the video.
Okay.